hi. I didn't see you there.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. Okay. Episode 407. We got a lot to talk about. Episode 407, The Hard Way. Five the Hard Way,
Which is a Craps reference, apparently.
It's a Craps reference, and it's not
no
a thing, which is great. I think that makes it.
Okay, wait. Can you tell people again? Because this was all
okay. So if you're betting, like, okay,
this
we're gonna roll a 6, right? Or you're putting odds on rolling a 6, a 4, or an 8, or a 2. Mm-hmm. Anything that can be. You can say, I'm betting on 6 is going to come up, but I'm betting 6 the hard way. The hard way means not a 4 and a 2, not a 5 and a 1.
Oh, it's got to be
3
threes.
and a 3. Got to be doubles. So the only things you can get hard ways are 2s, 4s, 6s, and 8s.
Right, because there's no dice that's a 2.5.
And 6 is the most common. Well, 7 is the most common number, right? And 6 and 8, I think, are second. A 5 and a 1, a 4 and a 2, 3 and a 3.
You know a lot more about gambling than I do.
I used to like craps quite a bit.
Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, welcome, everyone, to episode 407, 5 the Hard Way, sponsored by our good friends at Hulu.
Thank you, Hulu.
Oh, we have a lot to talk about. You guys went from a
Vegas, baby, Vegas.
Horse races in 406 to a Las Vegas episode. I got to hear all about this.
All
the sins.
I'm trying to remember if it was my first time in Vegas or not. That feels crazy to me that it would have been, but I don't think I'd been before. I remember that I had been invited to Vegas. A casino reached out, or a nightclub in Vegas reached out to me and offered to throw me a big, fancy 30th birthday party through my publicist at the time, which I had back then. Yep. And they were like, we'll do like a red carpet and we'll do this whole thing and this sponsor thing and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, cool. I am going to be 8 months pregnant for my 30th birthday. So I feel like maybe that's a pass. Also, you so have the wrong girl. Like, I am
wrong girl, wrong group of friends.
Wrong girl. Yeah, totally. Like my friends who are like attorneys and people who work for the World Bank and like my friend who runs UNICEF in the Bahamas, whatever.
Those people like Vegas.
Maybe. But anyway, I think that would have been my first time in Vegas. So I believe.
And do you remember, were you guys all staying at I shot once in Vegas and we stayed at the hotel. We stayed where we were shooting.
Oh yeah.
Which was intense and fun. I mean, it was intense to shoot in Vegas.
What were you shooting there?
Intolerable Cruelty. So I was there with Clooney.
Oh,
imagine what walking through a Vegas casino with Clooney is like. He didn't stay there though, which I'm totally understood. Like he wouldn't stay on the strip. Like he stayed at this. No, of course not. There's this casino like way out
you got to get him.
Yeah. Like that's the person. Now that Frank Sinatra's dead, it was like, who do you want to see when you're in Vegas? Clooney.
George Clooney.
Yeah, especially at that point. I think it was. Yeah, it was post Oceans. Sure. Yeah, trip and a trip shooting on a casino floor. So you guys were shooting like you guys are walking through the casino floor, and they don't stop everything.
They don't stop anything. The whole place was open. There were just the signs saying, "If you're in here,
you're in the movie.
You're in the movie." But they obviously didn't want us there during peak hours. So, man, we shot.
Okay, it's all the same, 24 hours a day. It all looks the same.
It's not. It's sadder. Shooting like a 7 a.m. camera call.
Oh, I know.
In a casino.
Oh, I know. When people are like, you know, it's a really dark time in Vegas. Oh. And I've been there. When you're sitting at the tables, and they don't do this anymore as much as they used to, where they would come around and they would really like ply you with drinks.
Yeah.
Harder to get a drink now. I think they realized that that it was more expensive than the amount of gambling they'd get out of people.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You should if you sat at the tables, it was just free to drink.
That was all. That's the only. I mean, I've been to Vegas a handful of times.
It's harder to get a drink. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
No, but it used to be that they were constantly cocktail waitresses being
and they
like,
had
drink
these
more,
clickers.
drink more.
The dealers and the pit bosses had these clickers, metal clickers, and it would mean drink. Somebody needs a drink. But anyway, around 6:30, 6:45, they go around and they're like, cocktails, orange juice, coffee. Like it just like switches over.
Oh, God.
And then there's people, like the cleaning crews are there. So they're like vacuuming the rugs. Yeah, and people are still there in their really nice clothes. Yeah, exactly.
The part that was hard for me is like the person with the big gulp, like container with quarters in it, like chain smoking. Because I feel like you could still smoke in casinos then.
You can still smoke in casinos.
That's true, but they didn't have the HIPAA filters. That's right.
They have the filters, and they have
because the whole place smells like an ashtray.
Yeah, but now they have smoking sections and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, should we set up the?
Yeah. Let's talk about the show because we have.
Everything.
I have like a lot of notes.
Many questions.
Many questions.
Also.
So, should we do the Adelstein index before we get into?
We should do that. Although,
you guys should.
Yes, and then I'll tell you about the hotel we stayed at the casino and the blah 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 because my little Hawaii lives in the country ass was not.
You were not ready for Vegas.
Not ready for Vegas. Okay. Adelstein Index 5 The Hard Way first aired October 6th, 2008. The episode was written by Christian Trokey. He started out as a writer's assistant on the show, was now writing his own episodes. We're very excited for him. Fun fact from season 1. Trokey, also the name given to one of the season 1 prison guards.
Yes.
Very generous of Christian to share his name. Episode was directed by Gary Brown, who was the line producer of the show.
From season 1? Season 1 or just starting in Dallas season 2?
No, season 1. He's the one who moved us, I believe,
moved us to
Dallas because that was his
hometown.
That was his hometown. He'd done Walker, Texas Ranger there.
And he had that place wired,
Wired.
For production, yeah.
Not to explode.
Okay.
This was Gary's first episode directing Prison Break, and ratings-wise, against the usual suspects in the 9 p.m. time slot, we got 5.4 million live viewers.
In our Adelstein time capsule, and Vegas related, happening around October 6, 2008, just 3 days before O.J. Simpson was found guilty of robbery and kidnapping for an incident that took place in Las Vegas. To be clear, totally unrelated to his acquittal on murder charges of the killing of Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman. One of the weird things, the guilty verdict came down 13 years to the day from the acquittal verdict in the murder trial. O.J. ended up in prison for the robbery and kidnapping until 2017. If you want to see some really great actors take on the original trial, People versus O.J. Simpson, is available to watch on Hulu. We did there.
Some really good actors in that.
Also, the judge made it clear that the sentencing was 13 years to the day on purpose.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, this week, Sheryl Sandberg was named COO, I believe that's Chief Operating Officer of Facebook. A $700 billion bank bailout was signed by President George Bush in response to the housing crisis, and Britney Spears' song Womanizer was number 1.
To recap the episode, Who's getting tortured this week? We're so glad you asked. Gretchen tortures T-Bag for intel about the Bird Guide and Scylla. Meanwhile, one of the Scylla card holders takes his wife and the 5th card to Las Vegas. So Lincoln takes some of our heroes and goes after it to Vegas, baby Vegas. Roland is outrageously excited about all of this. Elsewhere,
I wonder why.
General Krantz calls Wyatt and puts Agent Self on his kill list, but Self has a backup plan to protect himself. Elsewhere still, wily Secretary Trishan offers Bellick information about T-Bag in exchange for a reward, but then gets in over her head when Michael, Bellick, and Mahone show up. He takes them all hostage except Mahone escapes, and T-Bag captures them. But wait, there's more, because Gretchen is tracking Michael and Mahone when they then capture T-Bag. It's all very complicated. You got to watch the show. I promise. It's really good. Meanwhile, in Vegas, Lincoln tells Sara that his mother died of a brain tumor when she was 31 years old, which is the same age that Michael is right now. Michael's showing signs of the same kind of tumor, which is a bombshell. Speaking of bombshells, Sara tries and fails to seduce the card holder to get Scylla, only to
Honey
find
trap
out
number
he's
2.
gay, sorta, they think. So the team pivots to plan B, which involves some gay panic. And then Roland complicates everything by getting arrested. And that's the end of the episode. A lot happens.
And you said, and Gretchen kills someone. But does she kill? Oh, no, she garrots him. She garrots him.
That was, yeah, she does kill somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, she kills the office snoop at Gate. And we will come back.
Snoop?
Well, the guy at Gate who's
Right. All right, let's come. We'll come right back.
Yeah.
After this. All right, we're back.
We're back.
Did you watch People versus O.J. Simpson, by the way?
I did.
It's excellent.
Sarah Paulson is
as Marsha Clark,
an astonishing actor.
A Hulu original, I believe.
She is amazing. Okay, so Vegas. So Planet Hollywood.
Okay, so you guys are like, we're going to Vegas. We're going to shoot in Vegas. Planet Hollywood is a series of restaurants at that point, right?
Yes, and they're opening
owned by Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and Willis.
Wait, really?
Originally, or they were the faces of it. Yeah,
I think I forgot that.
Yeah, this is like early 90s.
It was kind of a darn market Hard Rock Cafe.
Oh.
It was trying to be Hard Rock.
It was absolutely trying to be Hard Rock. Yes.
For Hollywood instead of for musicians.
Music. It's absolutely right.
And they were opening their first casino in Vegas. And I mean...
Still there, by the way. Owned by Caesars. I don't know if that's always the case, but it is.
Okay. It was definitely... new. And I think they must have done a deal to be like, you can shoot here for free, promote.
Sure. Lots. And we'll provide the helicopter shots of the...
Yeah. You can do all the
marquee
things.
And the thing. Yeah. Sure.
We'll put you up.
Great. It looked great.
Well, so I was still nursing at the time, and I was like happy to go out of town, but I need to bring my husband and the baby. And they were like, sure. So we got up to our accommodations. Paul, it had a full-size pool table.
Yeah, it did.
A full bar.
Yeah.
A full-size ping pong table. Two bedrooms.
Isn't that amazing? And you're like, I need to use all this stuff.
I almost called everyone I knew in LA, which was like 5 people, to just be like, come over. It was bonkers. The baby was not even a year old. So it was sort of wasted there. But my husband had so much fun because he's a really good pool player.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So he was just like, I'm gonna wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and play 3 games of pool. It was one of those moments. Like, it's funny. I don't think of myself as like an actor really as much anymore. And I look back on some of this stuff and it's just so absurd. And you know those moments where you walk into a place that they've put you up because somebody's decided that you have some like cachet,
temporary cultural value, and you just start giggling. You're like, I'm the kid who like...
Yeah. And also that's not why you start... I'm convinced nobody starts acting because they're like, someone's going to bring me a fruit basket when I get to this hotel.
Right. Somebody's
but then you see
up
people get used to it.
Or think they deserve it, is a problem because you don't. Nobody deserves a place like that. I'm going to sneeze.
All right. So you're in Vegas. You get this outrageous suite. Your baby's not even a year old.
Nope. Still nursing.
And then it's like, you're staying at Planet Hollywood and you're shooting in Planet Hollywood. I've done that a few times in my life. I did it in Vegas. I did it in Vancouver. We were shooting season 2 of Imposters. We shot in this great old hotel where I was also being put up. Oh. It's always weird when you're like, your call time is at 6, go to the 4th floor to makeup. Yeah. And then set is on 2. And
you can wake up at 5:58 and make your call. You're like,
I love. There's something I love about like being like, it's lunch. I'm gonna go back to my room. Like, I don't know. I love it. There's something also very like putting on a show. It just feels like you're putting on a show. It feels less. I don't know.
No, it feels. I mean, it's a total bubble. I don't think we were there for maybe 4 days or something. I don't think we left. I left
the other thing.
The casino. That'd be because they're designed for it to be all contained. We went to the pool a couple times, but like, I don't think I set foot on the Strip. I'm sure, Josh.
You walked down the Strip.
Fair enough. Yes. I don't think
also
I did any
couldn't
civilian
be easy
thing.
to shoot. Okay. So I have so many things written down. First thing I have written down is fart in a windstorm.
Yes, your father's.
My father used that expression. So he says something here like.
Wait, who said it in the show?
Mahone?
It says useless as a fart in a windstorm. Yeah, Mahone says it.
My father used to say floating around here like. Not useless.
You're just floating around here.
He's like, what are you doing today? You're just like floating around in here like fart in a windstorm. I don't know. It seemed not crude when my father said it somehow. He could really class a fart up, I guess.
He could really class up a fart in a windstorm.
Question, Carrot Top joke in the script, improv. Did you do a series? Like, if we did that today, there'd be like a series. There'd
just
be like
keep
six
going.
Different Vegas, Wayne Newton, Carrot Top, Cirque du Soleil.
I don't remember, but I want to say there was an earlier draft that had a scene between Michael and Sara that was like, promise me you'll be careful.
And Carrot Top.
Promise me you'll be careful. Promise me you'll be careful. Because every time we say goodbye, there's a promise me you'll be careful. And Wentworth was like, no. Let's do the opposite.
Can we just do the bit? Yeah.
Can we just do...
Great.
It's
great bit.
It's fantastic.
I wish I could find out who that actor was because he... I know him from something and I really like him. And if you...
The card holder actor?
Uh-huh.
Do you want to look him up? I'll vamp.
Yeah, I'm going to look him up. Vamp.
Okay. And this isn't actually a vamp. We talked about this on the rewatch. I miss C-Note.
Oh, I miss him too. And he'd be great in Vegas.
He'd be amazing in Vegas. I think I didn't miss him so much season 3 because season 3 was so new. And like, it was just, I don't, for whatever reason. Well, you
felt his absence kind of still. You know what I mean?
I feel it more now. I feel the gang is back together. But I think by now Rockmond was on another show. I think he was on Sons of Anarchy by now.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I know he ended up on the show. So maybe he was just busy. But watching Benjamin Miles Franklin in Vegas would have been interesting. And I feel like he shows up later in the season, if I remember right.
Okay. So this man's name is.
I don't even remember his name, but he is the 5th
Jude Ciccollella.
Italian.
Ciccolella.
Ooh, one other small Vegas thing.
Yes.
Just small Planet Hollywood thing. Brand new hotel. When we were shooting that scene on the Strip where we pushed through from outdoors into the casino, there's a scene that takes us in from outside.
Uh-huh.
The Planet Hollywood doors were big glass doors, and the handle was a square metal.
Yeah.
I think they've since changed it. We put our hands on the metal, and it was so hot, it burned our palms.
Friggin' hot.
And I feel like I have since, because I adopted my son in Vegas, I feel like I've since been there and they changed them to wooden handles. I could be wrong. I could be making that up in my head. But I remember we were like, oh my God, new casino problem. You don't realize that these handles are going to get so hot that they hurt you to touch. Okay,
also, shooting outside to inside in Las Vegas is probably a major f-stop change. I mean, the light change has to be radical, right?
Huge. Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about second episode in a row where Sarah's playing the honeypot.
And failing.
Which feels in character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like that the come on was it was sexual, but it wasn't let's have sex. It was just cutie. I have to do this scavenger hunt. Please help me out. It wasn't really like, let's go to your room and right.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Did you have thoughts, feelings? I love what you're wearing, by the way. I love your hair up. I love the dress. I love a little shoulder. It was fantastic. You looked great.
Thank you. I remember originally it was scripted that she was in a bikini. And I was like, no, guys, I had a baby.
Also,
and it was like she goes
like
to the pool. It was a bit of a strange thing because it was 2 episodes in a row.
Yeah. Well, you guys are playing a lot of, imposter-y con man stuff, and it is a trope or reason.
Totally.
The what do you call it? The broad.
Yeah. Yeah.
The dame.
I remember being really stressed about
it.
that.
Because you didn't have a stressed response when we saw it. You weren't like, oh God, this is a nightmare.
No, I just remember like going into the costume fitting and I was like, can we find something that will satisfy the story points and whatever va-va-voom they want?
It worked great. You looked great.
And there wasn't a ton of pushback. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't a like, no, we insist. But it was just, I remember thinking it was sort of weird. I was like, I just had a baby.
You look great, by the way.
But then, thank you. But then I do love the pivot to Sucre.
Yeah, I mean,
Not the gay panic part of it. I love the pivot to. I mean, honestly, if you want to see somebody in a bathing suit,
right?
What about this guy who didn't just have a baby? Do you know what I mean? And
right.
There was a long conversation, wardrobe-wise, actually about the dress. Because
the black dress you're wearing, I'm sorry, I don't remember. The black dress you're wearing when you guys kind of do your like Ocean's
when
Vegas
Lincoln and Sara
entrance. Yeah, that's one thing. But when you go to the pool, is it a different outfit? I actually don't remember.
Yeah. So the reason it became a question is because, like, I don't know about you, but I'm a psychopath when it comes to wardrobe because I think it tells such a story. And so it mattered a lot to me. I was like, Sara doesn't have an infinite wardrobe. So can we be wearing, what story are we telling with the clothes? And so, like, I'm wearing that white hoodie that I've had on previous episodes.
Yeah.
Because I was like, let's tell the story that, like, she's re-wearing her clothes. She's got a limited closet. And then the dress for the scene with Lincoln where we're talking about Michael, I was like, let's make it something that could come out of a shop in Vegas, right? There's so much retail
Exactly. That's what I was
there.
thinking. You go in there and buy something.
Yes. And so we did that and then forgot that Sara's back is covered in scars from Gretchen. And so they real quick had to put on the top one because it's like a halter top.
Who was that you? Who remembered?
I don't remember on the day, but I remember we did the fitting and everyone was like, great, we love this. And then it was like, we were like about to shoot.
Like it didn't occur to anybody. And then it was like, oh shit.
Because we'd only ever seen them in that one. Yeah. And so someone was wait a second.
Wow.
And then there was a whole discussion. Well, would Sara wear something that revealed these scars?
I was going to say, like, then there's a whole emotional component to that too, right? Which is, it would be complicated understatement to put something like that on.
Yeah, I think the way they threaded it was they kind of framed him out. They sort of shot, because the scars are sort of like mid back to low back. And so they just, the upper back.
I remember seeing your shoulder. Your shoulders are bare, but like not your back.
But you don't see low enough. But it was one of those moments, on a show with a lot of moving pieces where you're like, oh,
and so much plot and so many things.
There's a huge
that you forget are should be primary.
Yeah. Well, so much of our thinking about the scene was like, this is a big scene where Sara learns that Michael is keeping something from her and that he's got this diagnosis. That, you know what I mean? And so your head is in all of that, not in what's my back going to look like when they shoot it.
So I was confused at the moment when you say to Lincoln, what's going on here? What do you mean Vegas isn't your town? That seems out of character. I thought there was something Vegas specific that he's going to tell you. So he's like, you remember Mom? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, she was a showgirl. Like, I was like, what's happening? And then it was like, Lola. And then she started losing her mind. And the whole thing, I was like, is this Vegas? It wasn't Vegas related, but basically what he's saying is, this is why I'm in a bad mood.
Yes. And
am I missing a piece?
I don't think so, but I was wondering about this too, because there was a fan question about it that I saw when I was putting together the script. I think what Link was saying was like, let's get in and get out. Vegas ain't my town. And the idea is, I want to get back as soon as possible.
I gotcha. Okay.
Because shit's going on with
Because he's not okay.
I think that's...
Do we buy my mother died at 31, I have the same condition, therefore I'm going to die at 31? That's just kind of graphic novelty. That's okay. We'll House of Buys that, right?
I think it's House of Buys. I do know that there's way more explanation about it down
Coming
the
up.
road.
I love the thing that you did. I love that you looked down. You're like, and he's 31, and you look down. You look down to take it all in. You kind of looking away, essentially away from Lincoln, and they let you do it. Which a lot of times they're like, "We got to see your eyes, we got to see your face. Don't look away."
Yeah, no.
But you like took in the information. You took it for yourself. It was really a lovely moment. Yeah, I really like that.
It's something that I actually think the show does really well, which is drop a bombshell in the middle of an operation with no time to process it, because it's
much easier to
huge piece of information.
Much easier to play.
Yeah, but also somewhere in the back of our heads as an audience, we're like, oh, they're going to have to deal with this later, but not now. It never comes back up in the episode.
No, but next time, I would imagine in 408, I would hope you're going to go to Michael and be like, WTF.
Yeah. Wilbur Thornton Fitzgerald?
Wilbur Thornton Fitzgerald.
Yeah. And speaking of Michael,
Yes.
I mean, we mentioned this in the rewatch, but like, there's a whole gay panic scene.
Yeah, we got to talk about this. So can you explain what gay panic is? I mean, I guess everyone knows, but.
I mean, I think of it as gay panic as often comic, but not all, sometimes violent. Usually a straight man reacting to the fear of.
Oh my God, yeah. Someone's going to think I'm gay.
Somebody's going to think I'm gay, yeah.
Or I'm in a gay, like, there's also the implication with gay panic that, like, something gay is going to turn me gay. Like, that's also the gay panic thing. It's like,
yeah,
you know, like the joke is, I mean, I'm sure they did it on Friends all the time, right? It's like Joey and Chandler are watching a movie, and then they're both upset, and then they look down and they're holding hands, and they both go, whoa!
Ah! Yeah.
Like,
It's the no homo thing, right?
It's the no homo, yeah.
It's maybe the
It's like, I love my boy, but no homo.
Yeah, it feels like maybe the simplest way is it's the panic at the possibility that somebody could either be gay or think you're gay, right? Which immediately puts us in a position of like, what? Why is that a problem?
Yeah, gay panic all over the place. And, you know, look, sometimes when it's done, it's still, I don't want to say, like, you know, even though it's inappropriate and homophobic, it's like it became a trope because there was a kind of rug pull beat that it always could be in a vaudeville way funny. And then I think that also gay panic started to be used, like Hitchcock always used gay panic for people to murder one another.
Yeah.
Horribly. But also gay panic, I think, started to be kind of turned on its head and make fun of the person who was afraid of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, for instance, my favorite thing is that, like, Dennis Rodman, who was not gay, would, you know, wear earrings and dress in wedding gowns. And then on the court, like, he would mess with these guys by, like, going, like, and, like, they would get
really
enraged and often, like, take a swing at him.
I had no idea.
So there was a kind of, like.
So he was, like, using it as a tactic to get through to his.
Yeah, like, yeah, yes. It's still gay panic, and I don't quite know what politics of it are, but anyway, in this, it felt, I don't know, and it might be just looking through the lens of 20 years later, it felt a little tired, even at this point. You know, like they didn't,
yes.
it didn't feel fully committed to.
Mm-hmm. It also, okay, so I think two things about this. One is it ignores the fact that you just asked Sara to go do this. So you're fine with a straight woman.
Correct.
Going,
I mean, that's, yeah.
Well, but.
That's the honeypot part of it. Right.
But it's worth.
Even if it wasn't gay panic, it would be, it would be like, why are you objecting to this?
You're fine sending Sara alone into a whale's suite.
Well, I guess the thing would be if it was a woman whale.
They don't, but it never crossed anybody's
Sucre
mind.
would have done it gladly if she was hot. You know, like it wouldn't have been. I mean, it's totally imbalanced gender wise. There's just no question about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I guess, to me, and look, we're looking back with 18-year-old lenses, and it's such we're in a different world. The writers obviously would not have written this scene today.
Yeah, we were transitioning. I mean, that seems a little late for it. But anyway, go on.
Well, it also, you've got an actor in the closet who's going to read this scene, who's number one on the call sheet. And I keep thinking about, like, what did it feel brutal. Like for Wentworth to read that scene?
It was probably one of a million daily cuts.
I mean, the Fox River stuff.
Probably had to suffer. And the T-Bag stuff. I mean, it's all
constantly.
Like pedophilia and homosexuality are kind of equated.
Constantly.
Right. And it was interesting. I guess this turns, but when the whale takes him into the suite, he says the great thing about Vegas is nobody judges you. All pleasure is okay. And you're like, you mean like being gay? Like what are we talking about here? Now it does turn into something else.
It does turn.
But
it does turn.
I don't mean to be critical. Part of what doesn't allow the gay panic to what makes it cheap, frankly, is that it makes no sense that this guy says that the bartender's like, I don't think he's interested in her, or to you. He says, I don't think he's interested in you. He tried to pick me up. He tried to get me to come to his suite. So the implication is this guy's gay. You're barking up the wrong tree. You're using the wrong honeypot. Get an attractive man to do it. They get an attractive man to do it. It's clearly like, what guy, what pitch? There's no pitch there until it's like,
because
Presto changeo, here's my wife.
And if you do successfully manage to lure a gay man into your suite, he's going to be like, I don't want to bang your wife,
sleep with a woman.
This is not a thing.
Also, is the implication that he slept with her? I think it is.
You kind of get that.
I mean, they're playing the joke of it a little bit. It feels like the joke wasn't totally committed to across the board. Like he wasn't that freaked out, which is good, but like it felt a little half-assed.
It felt a little lazy. Because I think there is a maybe funnier scene, which is Sara going, okay, look, it can't be me. I guess it's got to be Sucre. And Roland being like, why can't it be me?
Yeah,
you're saying I'm not hot?
And
Lincoln being like,
what about me? I'm
100%. There's a funny scene that's charming that plays in the same tone of, hey, promise me one thing. Get me Carrot Top's autograph.
Correct.
Which is Sara going, okay, so now I've got Sophie's Choice.
Which is a little...
It's not Sophie's Choice at all. Sophie was not... Sorry, that was a terrible reference to...
No, it's a used expression at this point.
It could have been funny. And
agreed, and it could have been self-aware.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, even a moment of Sucre going, you can't ask me to do that. I'm Mary Cruz. And her being like, dude, fucking Michael. Like, what?
Or Roland being like, he'd get the shit kicked out of him, being like, weren't all you guys in prison? Like, does it really matter?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so I feel like, and again, like this is where my brain goes, because that looked like I would have loved to write that scene like 12 different ways.
Yeah.
To see if, also, it's a needle worth threading if you can take the gay panic and kind of turn it on its head.
Yes. Completely. And would this same writer's room come up with that same scene today?
No, they would actually make it way funnier.
100% not. I realized something else. This is a weird one.
Yes, I'm looking at my notes. Yes.
There was a scene, and I think it was those scenes, because I remember the scenes where we're in the hotel room and it's Sara, Sucre, Roland, and Lincoln. And I remember shooting them in the real hotel. And it was
I was going to ask, you didn't shoot any of that in LA, right? You probably shot the entire episode.
Whole thing was on.
Those suites are huge. You can get a whole crew in there. Yeah.
Massive. And I think they gave us a floor, and because it was a new casino, it wasn't sold out.
Sold out. Wow,
I said, I think we shot 4 days.
Okay.
And I remember we were shooting, and it was like 6:30 or so at night. And I felt this like maternal panic of like, baby goes to bed at 7. I got to go nurse this baby. And we were all a little buzzy to be in Vegas. And also like, we felt like stars. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, ooh, Fox is sending us to Vegas to shoot this thing. We're big, whatever. We all had a thing. And so there was a lot of like big energy on set. And I remember we were just about to roll, and a Maori turned to one of the camera guys and cracked a joke. It was a funny joke, and everybody started laughing. And I'm watching the time tick. Yeah, man. And I turned to a Maori and I ripped his head off. And it was my first clue.
Which is out of character for you, yes.
Radically out of it. And like, a Maori and I get along really well. Yeah. Like, there was never anything but love between us. Yeah. And I remember, and he turned to me like, what the hell? And then it got really quiet. We finished shooting the scene. I tore ass upstairs. I put the baby to bed. And I remember it was my first clue later, but even in the moment where I was like, I think something is not okay with my postpartum.
I got a postpartum. Yeah.
It was the first moment where I was like, I was just unkind to someone I respect, radically overreacted to a situation, did not feel like I had control of it. And I was like, huh. And I think I kept a lid on it at work forever at that point. But it's interesting. I remember the shirt he was wearing. I remember the room we were in. Like, I remember our positions around a couch.
It's like vibrating, that like moment, that memory.
Snapshot.
I didn't know. Did you? And you don't have to talk about it if you want. Obviously, cut it if you want. Did you struggle with postpartum after that? Was it ramping up?
Oh, yeah.
Do you think you were in the middle of it?
It was, I knew something was wrong with my noggin within months.
Sure.
But I'm an actor. Yeah. And so I acted like I was okay. And everyone around me, they're like, no, you're good. You're good. You're good. And I went to 2 very close people and I was like, I don't think I'm okay. And they're like, you're fucking killing it. New mom is hard. It's fine. And then I started feeling a lot of shame about like, because I literally woke up every morning for 2.5 years and prayed to die. I didn't ever want to hurt the baby. I didn't ever want to hurt myself. But I was like, I'm terrible at this. This family would be better off without me. All I want today is to get hit by a bus. Like, I just don't want to make it. And it wasn't until Prison Break was over. I was shooting a pilot in Montreal, and I walked by a guy on the street, and he turned around and he goes, excuse me. And I turned around. I was like, can I fucking help you? And he was like, I'm a naturopathic doctor and you're not okay. And I was like, excuse me? And he goes, ma'am, do you know you're crying? Oh. I had no idea. I was walking through the streets of Montreal. And so I went to...
This is 2.5 years after you've given birth.
2.5 years. And
oh, Lord.
I talked to every new mom. And I'm like, sister, if you don't feel okay, ask for help. And I never went to a doctor because I was like, they're going to lock me up. So I went to a buddy of mine who's this incredible acupuncturist, herbalist guy named Tarek Adra in LA. And he, in 5 minutes, sat me down at the table, took my pulse, looked at my tongue, felt around a couple of things. And he just turned to me and he goes, oh, Sara, why didn't you see me sooner? 6 weeks later with acupuncture and herbs, I was like 99% better. But it was such a fog of war.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
good for you for, that's too long. But saying even in the moment, I was like, something is wrong here.
Something's not okay. And I think women just need to spend a little more time talking about it because I've been surprised by how many women I've talked to who get nailed by it.
Yeah, I think what's you identify so poignantly, brutally, is the fact that you're saying I'm not okay, and people are saying no, you're functioning, therefore you are okay. like that's the base, that you're taking care of the baby, you're working. That means, all the other things that you're feeling, they're natural. They come with the territory. Deal with it. I mean, basically they're saying the baseline is if you're getting out of bed and you're not driving the kids into a lake and you're not hurting yourself. Yeah, that's what happens when you have a baby. Like there is no in between to say I'm struggling because you're white knuckling through it.
Well, and we were in such a different landscape with mental health. And look, I think both Wentworth and Dominic have talked a lot and really eloquently about this and their struggles with mental health. We were not, I think we're in a world now where if somebody goes, hey, I'm not okay, everybody goes, I believe you. What are the next steps? Whereas...
More so.
Yeah.
And
yeah, maybe.
A lot is dependent on socioeconomics and status, but okay, go on.
Sure. No, you're right. And probably race and gender too. Like it's probably much easier for a white woman to be like, I don't feel good than like a,
And, yes, go on. But at the time, yes, no infrastructure, no support system really.
Well, we just didn't have the language, like we just didn't have the language. I mean, honestly, a Maori now, if that happened, would probably turn to the woman in question and go,
are you okay?
You're right. Do you know what I mean? Like that was out of nowhere. I mean, we just have you're absolutely right. It's not like it's 100% better, but it was weird to see the episode because I was like, oh,
brings you back.
There was that too, but it was also fun. Do you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like those 2 years were a wall-to-wall misery.
Yeah.
I have so many wonderful memories from that, but there was this baseline sense of just drowning, a feeling that the water was here the whole time and you could like get your nose up, but the water was there.
Rough.
I don't know. Hormones are wild, man. T-Bag and Gretchen was kind of great. That first scene.
Right. On fire. And I like that she's slightly different than she was. She's a little more unhinged. I like that the vibe, like she looks a little different. Like the look is a little different. All right. Let's take a quick break and come back with some fan questions.
I think we should.
We'll be right back. This is one of the questions I had. Okay, a lot of this we kind of answered.
We really
I like this. Stephanie for Sara and Paul. What do you think about the scene with T-Bag asking Michael, how far gone is Michael Scofield? It goes to something that you mentioned, which is him making him say, you're in it for the money, you're in it for the money. And you said T-Bag constantly wants to bring Michael to his level. Like he's got an insecurity about Michael's ethical center.
But as you've pointed out in a couple of these rewatches, that center is shifting this season. And certainly halfway through the last episode, we thought Michael was willing to let Mahone rot in prison.
Right, but it was a bait and switch.
That was a bait and switch. We saw him nearly kill Gretchen at the end of season 3.
Yeah, he's almost killed a few people. He did kill somebody in Sona. Like his moral center is shifting. Yeah, and I think he has left a wake of bodies, right? I mean...
Wake of bodies. And he may believe that he's dying. If what Lincoln says is true, that his mom died at 31, is there a ticking clock on him?
Oof.
And how does that change?
We have to get answers on that.
We need answers on a lot of things. Actually, you're a music person. I want to pitch this one to you. This guy asks, on rewatch, it stands out how most scenes have background music. I know it's a product of that era, which I love, but wondered, what are your thoughts in contrast to today for drama series?
I think it very much depends on the show. I think a show like Prison Break wants it, as they say, like wants that kind of constant emotional regulation. And a lot of the stuff in Prison Break doesn't I know that it's musical and I know it's done by the composer, but it feels more atmospheric than musical. Like it doesn't feel like there's no melodies playing, for instance. There is a kind of like hum or a tinkle of a piano if it's something emotional. I can't believe it's a tinkle of a piano, but
I was going to let it go, but
yeah, no. And I think it wants it. I think it's really really helpful. And I don't know. I guess it has changed quite a bit. I think our palates have changed in relation to it. I'm trying to think about what current dramas I watch that have music or don't. I mean, I think this is also an action drama, so I think that it wants almost constant propulsion. How do you feel as a director? Like, what do you guys do on Sheriff Country and Fire Country and stuff? What's the cueing like?
There's a music budget because they're shows with a big kind of country music audience, actually. So we get some needle drops and stuff.
Prison Break does not have needle drops, really.
No, very few. I mean, I've been thinking, actually, because I was watching The Pit recently, and I don't feel like there's a lot of music in that because it's so...
No, but it's supposed
real.
To feel like naturalism, right? I mean,
yeah, it's a really interesting question.
I mean, I think that, it's like the thing before 2002 or 3. Television was told in close-ups because people had small television.
Yeah.
And you had to see someone talking. So there was a lot of, now we have to tell you how to feel and we need to hit this plot point 3 times because people might go to the bathroom during the commercial break, right? I mean,
right. You can't hit back 10 seconds if you miss something.
Correct. And then I think that with premium TV, with peak TV, which is right around this era, people started to say, I mean, even what Shonda did was revolutionary in its way because she took this idea and she cranked it up to 10. She kind of invented the 5th act needle drop and the check-in, and
it was like a music video.
It was like a music video, a little bit like a music video.
Totally.
They got to the point on Grey's, and I think on Private, where they would feature a song in the 5th act, and then there would be a title card at the end saying what song it was, and those artists would like blow up.
It was massive.
But then you think about a show like Sopranos, or I think Breaking Bad is a show that really took this to the next level, where they were willing to have long, cinematic shots that were silent. I mean, nobody did that on TV. You couldn't. TVs weren't big enough.
Right.
Like you couldn't. It was just like, what? Like, it's brown. What is that? And then everyone's got a 50-inch television, and Breaking Bad has those vistas, and there's music over some of it, but some of it there are these long. It became more cinematic, right?
100%.
It's a really interesting question. I wonder if if it has slipped back in the last 10 years. I wonder if,
as people watch on their phones.
Yeah, I just wonder if what the tastes have been. What music does oftentimes too is it tries to keep people engaged. If people think the scene is maybe a little confusing, let's tell them it's funny.
Let's tell them how to feel
about it. And our attention spans get shorter, or powers that be assume our attention spans are shorter, trying to grab you more.
You know what I thought was, excuse me. Sorry. Something I noticed just last night. I started watching The Orville last night. I was watching the pilot. Generally because I was queuing this up and I was like, look what's on Hulu. It's The Orville. And I remember I was like, for a minute, I sat in on a band called Band from TV with Scotty Grimes. And I was like, oh, I've never seen his work. They do something in that show. Seth MacFarlane's so brilliant with music, where the show itself is a satire of Star Trek.
Right.
And they make the music satirical in that they've got that they've got their version of the they've got their version of that they play over and over in ways that are so aren't we, here we are. And I'd never really seen a show do that before. And it was very effective because it makes you realize, Well, yeah, and you realize how often they play that theme on at least the old school Star Treks. You're just
And I think people of our generation are like, that stuff is just like pounded into your head too. Like,
oh my God.
Transitions. Yeah.
I could have amnesia. You could play me that, and I'd be like, Star Trek.
You know exactly where.
I'd be like, oh, Star Trek Enterprise.
Okay, I'm going back. I think we're out of time, my friend.
We're out of time, but we also answered most of
these questions.
Like they're collaborating on the looks and the wardrobe.
Surreal.
The humor and dark vibes, script, jokes.
Speaking of humor and dark vibes.
We listened. Yes. Title of your sex tape? Sorry. I'm a fan of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yes.
No, I was going to just tell you that Prison Breaking with Sara and Paul was brought to you in partnership with Hulu, where you can see The People vs. O.J. Simpson and The Orville.
Thanks, Hulu. Your hosts have been inmates Sara Wayne Callies and Paul Adelstein, both fake doctors, but can't help you with real stuff.
No, although may have opinions. Our warden is producer Ben Haber.
Cutting us up in the prison yard is editor Kevin Mackler.
Frontman of our jailhouse rock band is me, who made all our music, Paul Adelstein.
Our prison yard tattoo artist, logo, and brand designer is John Nunziato and Little Big Brands. Check him out at www.littlebig.brands.com.
Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Prison Break Podcast, or email us at pbpodcast@caliber-studio.com, or call and leave us a voicemail at 401-3-P-BREAK.
Prison Breaking with Sara and Paul has been a Caliber Studio production. Thank you for listening.
See you next time.